Someone asked, just another question. Someone asked, totally different subject. Who is your favorite economist and why?
Well, we got to define what an economist is. Now, that is a very misused word.
Mhm.
Uh, so, what is an economist? I would say somebody who describes the way the world works, people going about producing and consuming in the material world. That's one good definition of an economist. Uh, and another one is somebody that can predict not only the immediate and direct effects of actions, but the indirect and delayed ones regarding the material world. So that has nothing to do with people that are that call themselves economists today, because most of the people, all these government economists and think tank economists, you're an economist if you get a degree from a university. But frankly, the economics that they teach in universities are just crap. They're bullshit. They're witchcraft. They've got nothing to do. They're all about, today, they're really about mathematics and all kinds of arcane formulas, treating people as if they were atoms or, you know, it's economics today is about what the government should do. That's what economics is defined as. And you're an economist if you got a high enough degree. So the whole structure should be flushed at this point.
Yeah.
So
In light of that, your favorite economist?
there are all kinds of popular economists that I despise, like Paul Krugman is a
I was going to
fraud.
mention him.
He's
Yeah.
a sham. He's a psychologically and morally a criminal. And he's a Nobel laureate in economics. My favorite economist. Well, who is my favorite economist? I would say that the economist would have to be somebody who, thinks about these things and describes cause and effect and human action, the way it works. Everybody loves Ludwig von Mises for his end product kind of, but his work is unreadable.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's very hard to read. Make your way through it. Percy Greaves wrote a book simplifying or explaining things the way Mises should, explaining Mises' thoughts the way Mises should have explained them. So what's the name of Percy Greaves' book? Can't remember.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I'll leave it in the description.
Yeah. But who would be,
like a Thomas Soule?
Yeah, I like Thomas Soule a lot. He's got videos on YouTube that are really worth watching. They're quite good. He's a very bright guy, totally sound. And I'm sure he's an anarchist. Does he ever come out and say he's an anarchist?
Not that I've ever seen. But he's such a clear, sound thinker. It's hard to imagine he isn't fundamentally.
Yeah, I'm sure if somebody asked him, as intellectually honest as he is, he'd probably have to say that. But he probably doesn't say that because that would put him beyond the pale with all kinds of establishment people. And he doesn't want to do that.
Right.
Because that would be counterproductive. That's my guess. I'm speculating.
Yeah.
So who would be my favorite current economist? Well, there are so few real economists out there. I should be able to pick one, but I can't pick a name. Can you, other than Soule? That's a good choice.
I mean, he's the people that are actually known as economists. I think he's the only one that really stands out. Now, I think the way you described or the way you defined what an economist is, I think there are lots of people out there there are a lot more people out there. Like I've described you as an economist, because of your ability to be able to observe these things that are happening and, see more than 2 steps ahead, essentially what the consequences of certain actions. So I think you could,
Yeah.
in that world, you could find people.
Well, that's absolutely that's right. Thank you. Because the problem is that an economist is something that everybody should be. Everybody should understand the way the world works, where people are. So it's incumbent upon everybody to be an economist and not, say, oh, that's something like an astrophysicist. You need
It's
special
beyond our
training
understanding.
for. Yeah, it's credentialism saying that you can't be an economist unless you've got a PhD and preferably from the right university besides.
Exactly.
So further further proof that the world is totally corrupt and upside down. It's disappointing.
There's actually a YouTube channel I like a lot, actually, and I don't even know the guy's name, but he goes by the name of the YouTube channel is Uneducated Economist,
Hmm.
and he does it. He's a very intelligent guy. He works in a lumber yard. I shouldn't say, but he works in a lumber yard. Maybe because he works in a lumber yard. And so he does these short videos basically before he's going into work each day, commenting on Bloomberg articles he's read and understanding, what the Fed is doing and talking about lumber prices, the way that they'd behaved recently. And I mean, he's a great example of what, uh, he throws the credentialism essentially in everyone's face, the lack of it. And, he's humble and trying to learn, but he's a bright guy and he has very keen observations about what's happening in the world. So
Oh, I'm sure you'll make a link to that, right?
yeah, I will.
I'd like to see
I
it
like the guy a
myself.
lot.
And that reminds me of another book. We were talking about important books earlier, and this was The True Believer by Eric Hoffer.
Mm,
That is a work of genius, and I've got
yep.
all the respect in the world for Hoffer, who continued to work as a longshoreman until he couldn't anymore. But he was a philosopher that believed that you should be doing while you're thinking.
Yeah,
So
Eric Hoffer's a
everybody should
genius.
read The True Believer.